my daughter. Am I dead? This must be heaven. It brought me.
A quick reminder before the drama unfolds. Smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you always stay in the loop. Hello, story lovers! It's great to see you. Right now, we're unpacking the complete narrative and exclusive recap of The Untouchable Billionaire's Sweet Cure. This one is an addictive mix of high-stakes billionaire drama, emotional healing, and a passionate love story that will definitely give you butterflies. Time to stop waiting and start watching. Let's roll the recap!
Haley adjusted her simple dress in the reflection of the glass window. Today was special. It was Bill's birthday. She had saved every extra penny from her waitressing job. She wanted to buy him that watch he always talked about. 6 years of marriage had not been easy. They struggled, but she loved him deeply. She smiled, holding the small box tightly in her hands. She walked into the luxurious venue. It was a lavish party. She wondered how Bill afforded it. He told her it was a corporate event. She walked through the grand doors. The room was filled with elegant people. Her heart pounded with excitement. She looked around for her husband. Then, she saw him. Bill was standing at the center of the room. He was wearing a sharp, expensive suit, the very suit she had bought him. But he was not alone. A beautiful woman in a stunning gown stood before him. Haley froze. Her breath caught in her throat. The crowd was cheering. Bill held a microphone. He looked at the woman with adoration. "Will you marry me?" he asked. The words echoed in the large room. Haley felt the ground vanish beneath her. He promised to cherish this woman for the rest of his life. Haley stepped forward. Her vision blurred with unshed tears. "Why is my husband proposing to another woman?" she yelled. The music stopped abruptly. The crowd turned to look at her in shock. Bill's face went pale. He looked at Haley as if she were a ghost. The woman beside him frowned. "Who is this?" she asked. Bill quickly recovered. His face twisted into a mask of disgust. "I have no idea who you are," he spat. Haley felt a sharp pain in her chest. "Just get out of my party," he demanded. Haley shook her head in disbelief. "You don't know your own wife?" she cried out. She pulled out her phone. She showed a picture of their wedding day. "What about this?" she challenged him. Bill laughed coldly. It was a cruel, heartless sound. "How dare you fake wedding pictures with me?" Bill shouted. He turned to the crowd. "Look at this cheap woman. She is a deranged stalker." The guests began to whisper. Haley felt a wave of humiliation. "She's delusional," Bill continued. "She just wants my money." Haley was stunned. "Money? I am the one paying for everything," she fired back. "I bought that suit you are wearing." The other woman, Anna, stepped forward. "Anna is from the Davis family," a guest whispered. Anna glared at Haley. "Bill is worth millions," Anna sneered. "Why would he need a waitress to support him?" Haley realized the depth of Bill's lies. He had hidden his wealth from her. He had lived a double life for 6 years. Haley's sadness turned into boiling anger. "Fine," Haley said firmly. "My husband lied to me for 6 long years. Today I end this." She looked at the crowd. "I am crazy? I made it all up?" She pulled out a folded paper. "The photo might be fake to you. The ring might be fake, but our marriage certificate is real." She read the names aloud. Haley Myers, Bill Johnson, LA County, 2020. She held it high. "That is on record. Anyone can look it up." Bill's face turned red with fury. He rushed toward her. "Shut up. I am going to kill you," he hissed. Haley stood her ground. "What do you want?" she asked. "Caught in your lie? Too ashamed to face it?" Anna scoffed. "You were too stupid, darling," Anna said to Haley. "Why waste your breath on this trash? Throw her out." Bill nodded eagerly. "How did I put up with this stinky trash for 6 years?" he muttered. He looked at the guards. "Get her out. I will have my lawyer send divorce papers." Haley recorded the scene with her phone. "I am divorcing you," she declared. "But first, I will make sure everyone knows how rotten you are." Bill panicked. "You are recording us? Get that back." He lunged at her aggressively. A struggle ensued. In the chaos, Haley was pushed back. A glass of wine spilled over her, but it was not just wine. There was something else. peanut oil from the appetizers. Haley gasped. Her throat immediately began to swell. I am allergic, she choked out. She fell to her knees. She gasped for air. I could die. Anna looked down at her coldly. I know that, Anna said, but you brought this on yourself. Bill stood beside Anna. He did not even flinch. No one is coming to help you, Bill said. You can just die right here. They turned their backs on her. The crowd had been ushered away. Haley was left alone on the cold floor. Her vision faded to black. She thought this was the end. The betrayal was her final memory. But then, a shadow fell over her. A man knelt beside her. He was strikingly handsome. He moved with swift urgency. He picked her up. His touch was firm but gentle. Suddenly, Haley's breathing eased just a fraction. There was something about his presence. She lost consciousness completely. When she opened her eyes again, bright lights blinded her. She was in a hospital room. The steady beep of a heart monitor filled the silence. She looked around. A young girl with bright eyes sat near the bed. The girl smiled. Mommy, I finally found you, she cheered. Haley was confused. Am I dead? Is this heaven? She whispered. The little girl held her hand. It brought my daughter back to me. Haley cried softly. Her own baby had died at birth. The pain had never left her. Mommy, do not cry, the girl said. Today is a happy day. Haley hugged the little girl tightly. Just then, the door opened. The man from the party entered. He was tall, intimidating, and wealthy. He was Lester Mitchell. He was a billionaire. He had a rare medical condition. Even minimal external stimuli triggered a severe response. He could not stand physical contact. But with Haley, it was different. Lester's doctor had been amazed. Lester's nervous system was completely calm around Haley. She was his cure. Lester walked closer to the bed. The little girl, Emma, ran to him. Daddy, did you come here for Mommy too? She asked. Haley stared at him. He saved me, she thought. Why does his voice sound so familiar? Emma handed Haley a drink. This is my favorite drink, Emma said. Haley smiled weakly. Thank you, sweetheart. Lester watched them. His heart felt heavy. If his own baby girl were still here, she would be just like Emma. Wait, Emma is his daughter. Haley felt a strange bond with this child. Lester cleared his throat. I am sorry about the confusion earlier, he said. Haley shook her head. Thank you for saving me, Emma beamed. Daddy takes care of everything, she said. Emma asked Haley to pick her up from school. Lester gently told Emma that Haley needed to rest. After Emma left the room, Lester turned to Haley. Thank you again, Haley said. I do not know how to repay you. Lester looked at her intently. There is one thing you can help me with, he said smoothly. Anything, Haley replied. She owed him her life. Lester did not hesitate. Marry me, he stated clearly. Haley was completely speechless. What? Sir, I appreciate what you did. But marriage? Haley stammered. Lester held up his hand. My apologies. I did not explain properly. This would not be a traditional marriage, more of an arrangement. He introduced himself fully. He was the heir to the Mitchell Group. He topped the Forbes billionaire list. Haley was stunned. Why would someone like you want to marry someone like me? She asked. Lester explained his condition. His nervous system could not handle stimulation. Physical contact made him lose control. He handed her his medical records. Nobody has been able to explain it, but it is true. I need your help. He was rich and powerful. He had no reason to lie. Haley thought about it. He had saved her life. It was a debt she should repay. And there was Emma. The little girl filled a void in her heart. All right, Haley agreed slowly. I just have one thing I need to take care of. Lester nodded understandingly. Of course. My cell is saved in your phone. Call me when you are ready. Later, Lester's assistant investigated Haley. You and Miss Haley have never crossed paths, the assistant reported. Lester frowned. If I have never met her, why does her touch feel so familiar? He wondered silently. He felt a deep, unexplainable connection. Haley returned to her apartment. She needed to pack her things. She also needed Bill to sign the divorce papers. The door swung open. Bill stood there. He looked furious. What are you doing? You are still alive? He sneered. Just grab your things and get out. Haley stood tall. I am the one who paid rent, she reminded him. Anna stepped out from the bedroom. You are such a saint, Bill, Anna mocked. You took in a nobody, Bill laughed. I do not know what I ever saw in you. Haley pulled out the documents. "Sign it. I want a divorce," she demanded. Anna laughed loudly. "You think you can walk away with his fortune?" "I do not want your money," Haley said firmly. "Just sign it and I will leave." Bill smirked. He signed the papers quickly. "At least you are smart about that," he muttered. Haley grabbed the papers and turned to leave. As she walked down the street, she noticed she was being followed. Several rough-looking men blocked her path. "That is her. She owes you money," a voice shouted. It was Bill. He had set her up. "Careful, she is a flight risk," Bill yelled to the thugs. The men surrounded her. "Think you can take our money and run?" The leader growled. Haley backed away. "No, I did not take any," she pleaded desperately. "Haley Johnson, you took our money a month ago," the thug lied. "If you do not have the cash, you can find other ways to pay." They grabbed her arms. "Get her. Stop struggling," they commanded. Haley fought back fiercely. Meanwhile, across the city, Lester looked at his phone. The tracker he had discreetly placed on Haley's phone was blinking. "Track Haley's location right now. Send it to me," Lester ordered his team. Back in the alley, Anna watched with a cruel smile. "I am so scared," Anna mocked. "Are you waiting for a prince to come and save you?" This lowlife definitely does not know anyone powerful. They were about to find out how wrong they were. The cold wind howled through the narrow alleyway. Haley struggled against the men holding her. Her arms ached from their tight grip. She refused to show fear. She glared at Bill and Anna. Bill stood a safe distance away. He had a smug smile on his face. He truly believed he had won. Anna leaned against him. She looked at Haley with pure disgust. They were enjoying her suffering. "You will not get away with this," Haley shouted. Her voice echoed off the brick walls. The leader of the thugs laughed. "Who is going to stop us?" he sneered. He raised his hand to strike her. Suddenly, a blinding light flooded the alley. The roar of a powerful engine broke the night's silence. A sleek black limousine blocked the exit. Several dark SUVs pulled up behind it. The thugs froze in confusion. The doors of the vehicles swung open in unison. Men in sharp black suits stepped out. They moved with military precision. They completely surrounded the alley. The thugs realized they were trapped. Bill's smug smile vanished instantly. He took a step back in fear. Anna grabbed his arm tightly. "Who are these people, Bill?" she whispered. Her voice was trembling. Bill could not answer. He was paralyzed. The back door of the limousine opened slowly. A tall figure stepped out into the light. It was Lester Mitchell. His expression was cold and dangerous. His eyes locked onto Haley. He saw the men holding her. A dark fury flashed in Lester's eyes. He did not say a word. He simply raised one hand. His men surged forward. It was over in seconds. The highly trained bodyguards overpowered the thugs easily. The men who had grabbed Haley were thrown to the ground. They groaned in pain. Haley stumbled forward. She was caught by a gentle pair of hands. She looked up and saw Lester. His touch was warm. "Are you hurt?" Lester asked softly. His voice sent a shiver down her spine. Haley shook her head. "I am fine. You came," she breathed out. Lester pulled her behind him protectively. He turned to face Bill. Bill swallowed hard. He recognized Lester Mitchell immediately. Everyone in the business world knew the untouchable billionaire. Bill forced a nervous smile. "Mr. Mitchell." "What a surprise," Bill stammered. Lester stared at Bill with utter disgust. "You dare to touch what is mine." Lester's voice was low. It carried a lethal warning. Bill turned pale. "Yours? There must be a mistake. She is just my ex-wife." Anna tried to sound confident. "She is a nobody, Mr. Mitchell. A cheap waitress." Lester's gaze snapped to Anna. It was so piercing she stepped back. "She is my future wife," Lester declared loudly. The silence in the alley was deafening. Bill's jaw dropped. Anna looked like she had seen a ghost. "Future wife?" Bill choked out. "That is impossible." Lester did not care about their shock. He turned to his lead bodyguard. "Deal with them. I do not want to see them in this city again." The bodyguard nodded respectfully. "Yes, boss." The guards moved toward Bill and Anna. Panic set in. "Wait, Mr. Mitchell, please," Bill begged. "I did not know." Anna started crying. "We are sorry. Let us go." Lester ignored their pleas. He gently guided Haley toward the waiting limousine. He opened the door for her. Haley stepped inside the luxurious car. Lester sat next to her. The door closed, shutting out the noise of the alley. The car pulled away smoothly. Haley let out a long breath. "Thank you," she whispered. Her hands were still shaking slightly. Lester noticed her trembling. He hesitated. hesitated for a moment. Then, he reached out and held her hand. His own heart raced. He did not feel sick. Usually, physical contact made him nauseous. It triggered intense pain, but holding Haley's hand felt completely natural. It brought him a sense of deep peace. "You are safe now," Lester said quietly. Haley looked at their joined hands. She felt a strange spark between them. It was a feeling she had never experienced with Bill. "Where are we going?" she asked. "To my home," Lester replied. "Emma is waiting." Hearing Emma's name brought a smile to Haley's face. The little girl had stolen her heart. She thought of her own lost child. Perhaps this was fate. Perhaps she was meant to be a mother to Emma. The car ride was silent but comfortable. They arrived at a massive estate. Iron gates opened automatically. The driveway was lined with tall trees. The mansion was breathtaking. It looked like a modern castle. Lester led her inside. The interior was even more magnificent. High ceilings and crystal chandeliers greeted her. "Daddy!" A small voice rang out. Emma ran down the grand staircase. She was in cute pajamas. She threw her arms around Lester's legs. Then she looked up and saw Haley. Emma's eyes lit up. "Mommy, you came back." Emma ran to Haley and hugged her tightly. Haley knelt down and returned the embrace. Tears pricked Haley's eyes. "Of course I came back, sweetheart," she whispered. Lester watched them with a soft smile. For the first time in years, his house felt like a real home. Later that night, Lester showed Haley to her room. It was huge and beautifully decorated. "Get some rest," Lester said. "Tomorrow, we will discuss the arrangement in detail. My lawyers will prepare the contract." Haley nodded. "Good night, Lester." She closed the door. She walked over to the large window. She looked out at the beautiful gardens. Her life had completely changed in a single day. She had lost a husband, but she had gained a mysterious billionaire and a sweet little girl. She did not know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt a glimmer of real hope. She was ready for tomorrow. The morning sun poured through the massive windows of Haley's new bedroom. She woke up feeling rested for the first time in years. The bed was incredibly soft. She sat up and looked around the luxurious room. It still felt like a dream. A gentle knock on the door broke the silence. "Come in," Haley called out softly. The door opened, and a maid in a neat uniform walked in. She carried a silver tray with a steaming cup of tea. "Good morning, Miss Haley," she smiled. "Mr. Mitchell requested you join him for breakfast," the maid said. Haley thanked her and took a sip of the tea. It was perfectly brewed. She got out of bed and washed her face in the ensuite bathroom. She needed to look presentable. She put on the simple dress she had worn the night before. It was clean, thanks to the staff who had washed it overnight. She walked down the grand staircase. The mansion was quiet but filled with warmth. She heard giggles. Haley entered the grand dining room. Emma was sitting at the table, eating pancakes. Lester sat at the head of the table. He was reading a financial newspaper. He looked up when Haley walked in. His eyes softened immediately. "Good morning," Lester said. His voice was deep and calm. "Mommy," Emma cheered. She waved a sticky fork in the air. Haley smiled brightly and sat next to Emma. "Good morning, sweetheart." "Good morning, Lester," she replied. Breakfast was a lavish affair. There were fresh fruits, pastries, and eggs. Haley had never seen so much food for breakfast. Emma chattered happily about her favorite cartoons. Lester listened with a gentle smile. They looked happy. After breakfast, the maid took Emma to the playroom. Lester turned his full attention to Haley. "My lawyers are waiting in the study," he said. "Are you ready to discuss our arrangement?" Haley took a deep breath. She nodded firmly. They walked down a long hallway lined with expensive art. Lester opened heavy oak doors. Two men in sharp suits stood up immediately. "Mr. Mitchell, Miss Haley," the older lawyer greeted them respectfully. They sat at a large desk. Lester handed Haley a thick folder. "This is the marriage contract," he explained. "It outlines our arrangement." Haley opened the folder. She read the first page carefully. It stated she would act as his wife in public and private. "In return, I will clear any debts you have," Lester said. "You will receive a generous monthly allowance. And most importantly, you will be Emma's mother." Haley's heart swelled at the mention of Emma. That was the best part. "What about your condition?" Haley asked quietly. Lester looked at her intensely. "You are the only person who does not trigger my illness. I need you by my side for social events. And for my own peace of mind." It was a fair trade. Haley read through the rest of the document. There were strict confidentiality clauses. She could not tell anyone about the true nature of their marriage. That was understandable. She reached for the gold pen on the desk. She signed her name on the dotted line. Haley Mitchell. It felt strange but right. Lester signed his name next to hers. The lawyers witnessed the signatures. "Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell," the lawyer smiled. Once the lawyers left, Lester poured 2 glasses of sparkling water. He handed one to Haley. "To our new partnership," he toasted. Haley clinked her glass against his. "To our partnership," she echoed. But it felt like more. "Now, we have some work to do," Lester said, setting his glass down. "As my wife, you will be in the public eye. We need to upgrade your wardrobe." Haley blushed. She knew her clothes were simple and worn out. "I can buy my own." Lester raised a hand gently. "It is part of the arrangement, Haley. Let me take care of you." His words sent a flutter through her stomach. No one had ever offered to take care of her before. Bill had only ever taken from her. An hour later, a team of high-end stylists arrived at the mansion. They turned the guest room into a private boutique. Racks of designer dresses, shoes, and bags were brought in. Haley was overwhelmed by the sheer luxury. The head stylist, a fabulous woman named Coco, clapped her hands. "Let us begin. You have gorgeous features, Mrs. Mitchell. We just need to polish the diamond." Haley spent the next few hours trying on countless beautiful outfits. Silk blouses, tailored trousers, and elegant evening gowns. Coco picked out colors that complemented Haley's skin tone. Emerald greens, deep sapphires, and classic blacks. Haley looked in the full-length mirror and gasped. She looked like a completely different person. The tired, stressed waitress was gone. In her place stood a confident, stunning woman. Coco's team also styled her hair in soft, cascading waves. They applied light, natural makeup. Lester knocked on the door and walked in. He stopped dead in his tracks. His eyes widened slightly as he took in Haley's new look. For a moment, he forgot how to speak. She was absolutely breathtaking. "You look beautiful," he said. Haley blushed deeply. "Thank you. Coco is a miracle worker." Coco laughed. "Nonsense. The beauty was always there." Lester stepped closer to Haley. He offered his arm. "Are you ready for your first public outing as Mrs. Mitchell?" "Where are we going?" Haley asked, taking his arm. Her hand rested naturally against his sleeve. Lester did not flinch. He felt perfectly calm. "We are going to buy your wedding ring. Only the best for my wife," he smiled. Meanwhile, across town, Bill was having a terrible day. He arrived at his office to find his access card denied. The security guards escorted him out of the building. "What is going on?" Bill demanded angrily. "I am a manager. Your employment has been terminated immediately," the head guard stated coldly. Bill was shocked. "On whose orders?" he yelled. The guard simply pointed to the street. "Mitchell Group just bought this company. You are fired." Bill's face drained of color. The Mitchell Group. Lester Mitchell. He realized the grave mistake he had made in the alley. He pulled out his phone to call Anna. She did not answer. He checked his bank accounts. They were frozen. Anna was having her own crisis. Her family's business relied heavily on contracts with the Mitchell Group. That morning, every single contract had been canceled. Her father was furious. "What did you do, Anna?" he screamed at her. "I did not do anything," Anna cried, but she knew it was a lie. She had insulted Lester Mitchell's future wife. The consequences were swift and brutal. The Davis family was now facing financial ruin. They were paying the price. Back at the luxury jewelry boutique, the manager greeted Lester and Haley personally. "Mr. Mitchell, what an honor. Right this way." They were led to a private VIP room. Velvet trays of dazzling diamond rings were placed down. Haley stared at the sparkling gems. They were all enormous. "Pick whichever one you like," Lester encouraged her. Haley hesitated. She did not want to take advantage of his wealth. She pointed to a modest princess-cut diamond. "This one is beautiful," she said softly. Lester looked at the ring, then at Haley. He signaled the manager. "We will take this one and the rare pink diamond set." Haley gasped. "Lester, that is too much for me." Lester gently slid the pink diamond ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "Nothing is too much for the woman who saved my life," he whispered. His touch was warm. Haley looked into his deep eyes. She felt safe at last. Haley admired the pink diamond on her finger. It sparkled under the sunlight as they left the boutique. Lester guided her to the waiting car. His hand rested lightly on her lower back. It felt incredibly natural. The ride back to the mansion was peaceful. Haley felt a strange sense of belonging. She had known Lester for such a short time, yet he treated her with more respect than Bill ever did. She looked out the window. "Tonight we have a charity gala to attend," Lester announced. He was looking at his tablet. "It will be your first official appearance as my wife." Haley felt a knot of nervousness in her stomach. A gala? She had never been to a high society event. "I do not know how to act at these things," she admitted. Lester reached over and held her hand. "Just be yourself. You do not need to impress anyone. They need to impress you." His words gave her a boost of confidence. When they arrived home, Coco and her styling team were waiting. They had prepared a stunning evening gown for the gala. It was made of midnight blue silk. It was breathtaking. The dress hugged her curves perfectly. It flowed beautifully as she walked. A matching sapphire necklace was fastened around her neck. It highlighted her glowing skin. She looked like royalty. Coco clapped her hands in delight. Lester was waiting at the bottom of the stairs. He was wearing a classic black tuxedo. He looked incredibly handsome. When he saw Haley, his breath hitched. He offered his hand to her. She took it with a shy smile. "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen," he murmured. Haley blushed deeply. They walked out to the limousine together. The paparazzi were already waiting outside the gala venue. Flashes went off everywhere. When Lester stepped out of the car, the crowd gasped. The untouchable billionaire never attended events with a +1. When he offered his hand to Haley, the cameras went crazy. Whispers echoed through the crowd. "Who is she?" A reporter shouted. "Mr. Mitchell, is this your new girlfriend?" Lester ignored the questions. He kept Haley close to his side. They walked up the red carpet with pure elegance. Haley held her head high. Inside the grand ballroom, the elite of the city were gathered. Conversation stopped as Lester and Haley entered. Everyone wanted to know the mysterious woman. The city's most powerful people approached them. Lester introduced her simply. "This is my wife, Haley Mitchell." The shock on their faces was priceless. The news spread through the room like wildfire. Lester Mitchell was married. Haley handled the introductions gracefully. She was polite, witty, and charming. The guests were instantly captivated by her. Lester watched her with a proud smile. His condition, which usually flared up in crowded spaces, was completely dormant. Haley was his cure. Suddenly, a commotion broke out near the entrance. The security guards were blocking two uninvited guests. It was Bill and Anna. They looked disheveled and desperate. They had managed to sneak past the outer gates. "Let me in. I know Lester Mitchell," Bill yelled frantically. Anna was crying hysterically. Her family's business was officially bankrupt. Bill had lost everything. They were ruined, and they knew who was responsible. Lester heard the shouting. His expression turned cold. He signaled his lead bodyguard. "Let them in," Lester commanded quietly. The guard stepped aside. Bill and Anna stumbled into the ballroom. They looked pathetic. Bill spotted Lester and ran toward him. He completely ignored Haley. "Mr. Mitchell, please. You have to stop this," Bill begged. He fell to his knees. "I lost my job. My accounts are frozen. I have nothing left." Anna sobbed behind him. "My family is ruined. Please, we are begging you." The entire ballroom watched the spectacle in stunned silence. Lester looked down at them with absolute disgust. He did not say a word. Haley stepped forward. She looked at the man who had tormented her, the man who had left her to die. She felt no pity. "You brought this upon yourself, Bill," Haley said clearly. Her voice carried across the quiet room. Bill finally looked at her. His eyes widened in shock. He did not recognize her at first. The elegant, powerful woman before him was not the poor waitress he knew. "Haley," he whispered. He could not believe it. "You lied to me for 6 years," Haley stated coldly. "You treated me like garbage. You left me on the floor to die. You reaped what you sowed," Anna glared at Haley with pure hatred. "This is all your fault, you witch." Before Anna could step forward, Lester moved. He stood protectively in front of Haley. His presence was terrifying. "Speak to my wife like that again," Lester warned, "and I will make sure you vanish completely." Anna froze in terror. Bill realized it was truly over. He had lost the best thing in his life, and he had made an enemy of the most powerful man in the city. Lester signaled the guards. "Throw them out." The guards dragged Bill and Anna away. They were screaming and crying. The heavy doors closed, shutting them out of high society forever. Lester turned back to Haley. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. She smiled and nodded. "I am better than okay," she replied. The rest of the evening was a triumph. Haley danced with Lester. She laughed with the guests. She felt truly alive. When they returned home, Emma was already asleep. Lester walked Haley to her door. "You were magnificent tonight," he said. He leaned in slowly. His lips brushed against her forehead. It was a gentle, tender kiss. Haley's heart fluttered wildly. "Good night, Lester. Good night, my beautiful wife," he whispered. As Haley fell asleep, she realized something terrifying. She was falling in love with her fake husband. The contract was supposed to be strictly business, but her heart did not care. The next few weeks passed in a blur of happiness. Haley bonded deeply with Emma. They baked cookies, painted pictures, and read stories. Haley finally felt like a real mother. The void in her heart was completely healed. Lester was also changing. He smiled more often. He came home early from work just to see them. His medical condition had not flared up once since Haley arrived. His doctors called it a miracle. He knew she was the miracle. The mansion was peaceful on a bright Saturday morning. Lester walked into the large kitchen. He was wearing casual clothes for once. Haley was wearing a floral apron. She was covered in a little bit of flour. She was baking. Emma was sitting on the counter. She was helping Haley mix the batter. They were laughing loudly. Lester leaned against the doorframe. He watched them with a warm heart. This was the family he had always wanted. He smiled. "Is there enough for me?" Lester asked suddenly. Haley jumped slightly. She turned around with a bright smile. "Of course. We are making chocolate chip pancakes. Emma's favorite." Emma cheered and clapped her hands in delight. Lester walked over and sat on a bar stool. He watched Haley move gracefully around the kitchen. The contract they signed felt like a distant memory. He did not want a fake wife anymore. He wanted the real thing. He wanted Haley. After breakfast, Lester asked the nanny to take Emma to the park. He turned to Haley. "Pack a small bag," he said gently. "We are going away for the weekend." Haley was surprised. "Where are we going?" she asked curiously. "It is a surprise," Lester replied. His eyes twinkled with a rare playfulness. "Just bring something comfortable and a nice dress for dinner." Haley felt a flutter of excitement. She hurried upstairs to pack her belongings. An hour later, they were in a private helicopter. Haley looked out the window in awe. The city skyline shrank beneath them. They flew over the sparkling blue ocean. Lester held her hand the entire time. He felt perfectly fine. His medical condition was completely gone as long as she was near. They landed on a beautiful private island. A luxurious villa sat on the white sandy beach. "Welcome to my private retreat," Lester said. He led her inside. The villa was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a perfect view of the ocean. There was a private infinity pool. Haley walked out onto the terrace. The warm sea breeze blew through her hair. It was absolute paradise. "It is breathtaking," Haley whispered. Lester stepped up behind her. He was so close she could feel his body heat. "I bought this island years ago. I come here when I need peace. But it is much better with you here," he said. Haley turned to face him. Her heart was beating fast. "Lester, about our arrangement," she started. She needed to know where they stood. Lester placed a gentle finger on her lips. "Let us not talk about contracts today." They spent the afternoon walking on the beach. They collected seashells like children. They talked about everything and nothing. Haley told him about her childhood. She told him about her dreams. Lester listened intently. As the sun began to set, they returned to the villa. A private chef had prepared a romantic candlelit dinner. They sat on the terrace under the stars. The food was exquisite. The wine was perfect. The atmosphere was magical. Haley took a sip of her wine. "You know so much about me now," she said softly. "But you never talk about your past. What happened to Emma's mother?" Lester's expression turned serious. He looked out at the dark ocean waves. "Emma's mother was not a good person," Lester began slowly. "It was an arranged marriage, strictly for business. She did not want to be a mother. When Emma was born, she took a large sum of money and left us completely." Haley gasped softly. She felt a deep ache in her heart for Emma. "And for Lester." "I am so sorry," she whispered. Lester shook his head. "Do not be. Her leaving was a blessing, but it made my nervous condition much worse." The stress triggered it, he explained. I could not bear to be touched by anyone. It was a dark time, until that day at the hospital. When you held Emma, when I picked you up. He looked deeply into Haley's eyes. You cured me, Haley. Not just my physical condition, but my heart. Haley's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes filled with happy tears. You saved me too, Lester. I was completely broken. You gave me a real family. Lester stood up from his chair. He walked over to her side of the table. He offered his hand. Haley took it without hesitation. He pulled her gently to her feet. The moonlight illuminated her beautiful, glowing face. I do not want this to be an arrangement anymore, Lester whispered. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box. Haley gasped. He opened it. Inside was a stunning, flawless diamond ring. It was magnificent. I know we are already married on paper, Lester said softly, but I want to do this right. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want you to be my real wife. Haley Mitchell, will you truly marry me? He asked. Haley could not hold back her tears anymore. They fell freely down her cheeks. They were tears of pure joy. She looked at the man who had changed her world. Yes, she cried happily. Yes, Lester, I will truly marry you. Lester slid the new ring onto her finger. It sat perfectly next to her pink diamond. He pulled her into his arms. He kissed her deeply and passionately. It was their first real kiss. It was filled with love and promises. The fake marriage was officially over. Their real love story had just begun. Haley wrapped her arms around his neck. She had lost a terrible husband, but she had gained an untouchable billionaire and a beautiful, sweet cure. The grand wedding ceremony took place a few months later at the Mitchell Estate Garden. It was the event of the year. Thousands of white roses decorated the venue. Haley walked down the aisle in a custom white lace dress. Emma walked ahead of her as the sweetest flower girl. She threw pink rose petals with a huge smile. Lester stood at the altar looking handsome. His eyes never left Haley as she walked toward him. He looked incredibly proud. They exchanged vows filled with deep love and real emotion. There were no fake words this time. Lester promised to protect her forever. Haley promised to love him and Emma with all her heart. The crowd cheered loudly. The reception was filled with laughter and music. Haley danced with her new husband under the twinkling lights. She felt completely secure in his arms. The dark days of her past were completely gone. She was finally happy. Years passed smoothly at the Mitchell mansion. Haley gave birth to a healthy baby boy a year later. They named him Leo. Emma became the most loving big sister. She always helped take care of her little brother. Lester's business grew even bigger. He remained the most powerful man in the city, but he always put his family first. He never missed a family dinner or a school play. He was a perfect husband and father. Bill and Anna never recovered from their downfall. They were forced to work low-paying jobs just to survive. They spent their days full of regret. They watched from afar as Haley lived a life of pure luxury. Haley often thought back to that fateful birthday party. The betrayal had felt like the end of her world, but it was actually the beginning of her true destiny. It led her to the man who truly valued her. She looked out the window at her beautiful family playing in the garden. Lester was holding Leo up in the air. Emma was chasing them with a puppy. Haley smiled softly as a tear of pure gratitude rolled down her cheek. She had found her true place in the world. She had survived the storm. She had gained a family that loved her fiercely. She had found her absolute peace. Her beautiful, sweet cure was forever by her side. The next morning, Haley woke up to the sound of tiny footsteps running down the hallway. The sun was shining brightly through the sheer curtains. She stretched her arms and smiled. Her life felt complete in this beautiful house. Emma burst into the room holding a colorful drawing she had made at school. "Look, Mommy, I drew our whole family." Haley looked at the paper. It showed Lester, Haley, Emma, and little Leo standing together under a big yellow sun. Haley felt a warm wave of emotion. She pulled Emma into a tight hug. "It is beautiful, sweetheart. We will hang it right on the refrigerator." Lester walked in, carrying Leo in his arms. He looked relaxed and happy. "What are my beautiful girls doing?" Lester asked. He leaned down and kissed Haley gently on the lips. His touch still sent a lovely thrill through her heart. He sat on the edge of the bed, letting Leo crawl toward Haley. "Emma made a wonderful drawing of us," Haley explained, showing him the paper. Lester smiled proudly. "You are quite the artist, Emma, just like your mother." Haley's heart melted at his words. He truly considered her the mother. After a joyful family breakfast, Lester had to leave for a quick business meeting. "I will be back before lunch," he promised Haley. He kissed her forehead. "Take care of yourself," Haley waved as his car pulled down the driveway. Haley decided to take Emma and Leo to the local community center. She wanted to give back to the neighborhood where she used to work. She had arranged a donation of books and toys for the children there. It felt good to help others. When they arrived, the director welcomed them with open arms. "Thank you so much, Mrs. Mitchell. This means the world to our kids," Haley smiled humbly. "I just want to help. I remember how hard it can be." As she was helping unpack the boxes, she noticed a woman cleaning the floors in the corner. The woman looked tired and wore a tattered uniform. When the woman turned around, Haley gasped quietly. It was Anna. Anna looked completely different. Her expensive jewelry and designer clothes were gone. Her hair was messy, and her face looked old. She was holding a mop with shaking hands. She looked up and froze when she saw Haley. For a moment, neither of them said a word. Anna looked at Haley's elegant clothes and the sparkling diamond rings on her finger. A flash of bitter jealousy crossed Anna's face, followed quickly by deep shame. "Haley," Anna whispered. Her voice was cracked and weak. She looked down at the floor. "I never thought I would see you here." Haley felt a strange mix of emotions. She did not hate Anna anymore. She just felt pity. "Life changes quickly, Anna," Haley said softly. She did not want to mock her. "I hope you are doing okay." Anna let out a bitter laugh. "My family lost everything. Bill left me when the money ran out. I have to work 3 jobs. Bill left you?" Haley asked. She was not surprised. Bill only cared about money and status. Once Anna lost her wealth, he had no reason to stay with her. He was a coward. He had always been a coward. "Yes," Anna nodded, tears filling her eyes. "He took the last of our cash and ran away. I do not know where he is. I am paying for my mistakes every single day." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. Haley looked at the woman who had once tried to destroy her life. She realized that holding on to anger would only hurt herself. "We all make mistakes, Anna. I hope you find your way," Haley said gently. She turned back to her children. Emma was holding Leo's hand, showing him a picture book. They looked so innocent and happy. Haley knew she had won the ultimate victory, not by seeking revenge, but by finding true happiness. When they returned to the mansion, Lester was already home. He was waiting for them in the courtyard. He noticed the thoughtful look on Haley's face. He walked over and wrapped his strong arms around her waist. "Is everything okay, my love?" Lester asked with concern. Haley leaned back against his chest. She felt the steady beat of his heart. It brought her instant comfort. "Yes," she whispered. "Everything is perfect." She told him about meeting Anna. Lester listened quietly. "Do you want me to do anything?" he asked. Haley shook her head. "No, she is already living with the consequences of her actions. Let it go." Lester nodded in agreement. "You have a beautiful heart, Haley," Lester murmured. He turned her around to face him. He looked deep into her eyes. "That is why I love you so much. You changed my world completely." Haley smiled and kissed him deeply. They walked inside the house together, holding hands. The past was finally dead and buried. Ahead of them lay a bright, beautiful future filled with endless love and laughter. They had found their true destiny together. A few weeks later, a huge celebration was held at the Mitchell Group headquarters. It was the anniversary of the company's greatest global expansion. The grand ballroom was packed with international business leaders. Haley stood proudly by Lester's side, wearing a stunning gown of gold silk. Her hair was styled perfectly, and her diamonds caught the light beautifully. She was no longer just a survivor. She was the queen of this empire. Lester stood at the podium to address the crowd. He looked confident and completely at ease. He held the microphone firmly, his voice echoing through the massive space. He thanked his team for their dedication. Then, he turned his eyes directly toward Haley. "Most importantly, I want to thank my beautiful wife," Lester said into the microphone. "She is my true strength, my daily inspiration, and the heart of our home." The crowd erupted into enthusiastic applause. Haley felt her heart swell with pure joy. She smiled at him, her eyes shining with love. Lester walked down from the stage and immediately wrapped his arms around her waist. He kissed her deeply in front of all the flashing cameras. There was no fear, no illness, and no hesitation. They were completely bound together by real love. Their bond was absolutely unbreakable. As they drove back to the mansion late that night, Haley looked out at the city lights. She remembered the girl who used to cry alone in the dark. She wished she could tell that girl that everything would be okay. Lester noticed her quiet reflection. He took her hand and gently kissed her knuckles. "What are you thinking about, my love?" he asked softly. Haley turned to him with a radiant smile. "Just how lucky I am," she whispered. They arrived home to find Emma and Leo fast asleep in their cozy beds. Haley walked into each room, tucking them in gently. She kissed their warm cheeks, feeling a profound sense of peace. This was her true kingdom. She joined Lester on the grand balcony overlooking the peaceful gardens. The night sky was filled with brilliant stars. He pulled her close against his chest, shielding her from the cool midnight breeze. "We have a long and beautiful journey ahead of us," Lester murmured into her hair. Haley wrapped her arms tightly around his neck. "And I cannot wait to live every single moment of it with you," she replied happily. Their love story was no longer a secret arrangement or a sweet cure. It was a beautiful reality that would last a lifetime. They stood together under the starlight, completely happy, completely safe, and deeply in love. The next morning brought a fresh and beautiful energy to the grand estate. Haley stood near the window of her private art studio inside the mansion. She held a paintbrush in her steady hand. She loved this new peaceful hobby. Emma ran into the room with wide eyes and a giant smile. "Mommy, look at this. Daddy bought us a pony for the garden." Haley laughed and set her paintbrush down on the table. "A real pony, sweetheart? Let us go look." They walked out to the vast green lawn behind the house. Lester was standing next to a beautiful white pony with a silky mane. He was holding Leo in one arm. He looked at Haley with warmth and deep devotion. "Only the best for my wonderful family," Lester said as Haley walked up to him. He placed a gentle kiss on her lips. The sweet sensation filled her heart with absolute happiness. She felt so loved every day. A few hours later, Lester's head of security approached them. He had a serious expression on his face. "Mr. Mitchell, we have found Bill. He was caught trying to steal from one of our local warehouses." Haley froze for a second, but she felt no fear anymore. Lester looked at his security chief with cold eyes. "What did he do?" The chief replied, "He is completely broke. He was looking for food and cash." Lester looked at Haley, letting her make the final decision. Haley took a deep breath. "Let the police handle it legally. Do not waste your energy on him, Lester. He is already completely ruined by his own greed." Lester nodded firmly. "Take him away and let the law deal with him permanently," he ordered the chief. The security team left immediately to handle the situation. Bill was finally facing real justice for his actions. That evening, Lester and Haley enjoyed a quiet dinner together on the glass terrace. The sky was painted in beautiful shades of purple and pink. They held hands across the table, enjoying the deep peace of their life. "You are my absolute world, Haley," Lester whispered, looking into her clear eyes. "I never knew what true happiness felt like until you came into my life." Haley smiled softly, her eyes full of happy tears. "And you are my savior, Lester," she replied gently. "You gave me a real purpose, a beautiful family, and a love that stands forever." They embraced under the soft starlight, completely content and deeply at peace. The next morning, the sun rose brilliantly over the horizon, painting the sky in gold. Haley stood on the wide balcony of the master suite, looking out at the endless gardens. She wore a soft silk robe that flowed in the wind. Lester walked up behind her, wrapping his warm arms around her waist. He pressed a soft kiss to her neck, making her smile. "Good morning, my beautiful queen," he whispered softly. Haley leaned back against his chest. "It is a perfect morning," Haley replied, turning around to face him. She adjusted the collar of his shirt. "Every day with you feels like a dream I never want to wake up from." Lester looked at her with pure adoration. "This is our reality now," Lester said firmly. He took her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. The pink diamond ring caught the morning light beautifully. "We built this family together, and nothing will ever break us." Emma and Leo ran out onto the balcony, giggling loudly. Emma was holding a basket of fresh strawberries. "Look, Mommy, Daddy, we picked these for breakfast." Haley knelt down and hugged both of her children tightly. Thank you, my sweet angels, Haley said, taking a strawberry and feeding it to Leo. The little boy laughed and clapped his hands. Lester watched them with a proud smile, his heart completely full of love. They walked down to the grand dining room together, holding hands as a family. The long mahogany table was filled with delicious food. They shared a wonderful meal, filled with laughter, jokes, and bright stories. The shadows of the past were completely gone. Bill and Anna were nothing but a distant memory, completely erased by the light of Haley's new life. She had found her true destiny, her real home, and her absolute sanctuary. As they finished breakfast, Lester looked at Haley and raised his glass of orange juice. "To our forever," he said with a deep, loving gaze. Haley clinked her glass against his. "To our forever," she cheered happily. Their love story was complete, filled with absolute peace, boundless joy, and a lifetime of true happiness. They stood together, completely safe, deeply protected, and unconditionally loved for the rest of their days. The next afternoon, a warm summer breeze blew across the vast courtyard of the Mitchell mansion. Haley was sitting at a white iron table, looking over plans for a new charity foundation. She wanted to build shelters for women. Lester walked out onto the lawn, wearing a relaxed linen shirt. He held 2 glasses of fresh lemonade. He set one down in front of her and gently touched her shoulder. "You are working too hard, my love," he said softly. Haley looked up, her face lighting up with a beautiful smile. She took a sip of the cold drink. "I just want to make sure everything is perfect. These women deserve a second chance at a happy life, just like I got." Lester sat down next to her, pulling his chair close. He placed his large hand over hers, feeling the steady warmth of her skin. "And you will give it to them. The Mitchell Group will fully fund the entire project forever." Emma and Leo came running across the green grass, chasing a small golden retriever puppy. The puppy barked happily, wagging its tail. Emma tripped slightly but laughed out loud, catching herself quickly on the soft lawn. "Mommy, look!" Biscuit learned how to shake hands, Emma called out excitedly. She knelt down and held out her tiny palm. The puppy placed its paw right in her hand. Haley clapped her hands in pure delight. "That is amazing, sweetheart," Haley cheered. Leo tried to copy his older sister, letting out a loud, happy squeal. Lester laughed warmly, reaching down to pick up his son and tossing him gently into the air. The entire scene was filled with pure, unfiltered joy. The dark days of betrayal, the alleyway, and the cruel lies were completely gone. Haley looked at her family and felt a deep, permanent sense of true peace. Lester leaned over and pressed a sweet, passionate kiss against her lips. "Thank you for bringing life back into this home, Haley," he murmured against her skin. Haley wrapped her arms tightly around his neck. "Thank you for loving me, Lester," she whispered back. They stood together under the shade of the grand oak tree, completely secure, deeply happy, and bound together by a love that would last for all eternity. The golden sun began to sink below the horizon, casting long shadows across the beautiful garden. Haley stood near a stone path, watching Emma teach Leo how to plant small flower seeds. Her heart swelled with complete joy. Lester walked out to join her, wearing a comfortable black sweater. He slipped his arms smoothly around her waist. He pulled her close against his side, breathing in the sweet scent of her hair. "They grow so fast," he murmured. Haley nodded gently, resting her head against his strong shoulder. "They really do. But every single stage of their lives is a beautiful gift. I am so thankful for this life." Lester looked down at her with pure adoration. "You deserve every bit of this happiness, Haley," Lester said softly. He turned her to face him, his eyes filled with endless devotion. "You went through the darkest storm, but you came out stronger than ever." The children suddenly looked up and waved, their faces bright with pure smiles. Leo ran over and grabbed Lester's leg, giggling happily. Lester laughed warmly and picked his son up, holding him securely against his chest. Emma walked over, holding a bright yellow daisy she had just picked. She handed it to Haley with a proud look. "For you, Mommy. Because you are the best mommy in the whole wide world." Haley felt happy tears in her eyes. She knelt down and kissed Emma's soft cheek. "Thank you, my beautiful girl. I love you so much." They shared a warm family embrace under the fading light. The peace they felt was deep, permanent, and absolutely real. The painful memories of Bill's betrayal and Anna's cruelty had completely vanished from her mind. They were nothing but dust in the wind. Haley had built a true legacy of love, kindness, and unwavering strength. Lester leaned down and pressed a tender, passionate kiss against her lips. Their hearts beat in perfect unison, completely secure in their shared destiny. They walked back toward the glowing mansion together, hand in hand. The stars shone brightly in the night sky, casting a peaceful glow over the entire estate. Haley sat on the edge of the large bed, brushing her hair softly. The quiet rhythm of the house brought her immense comfort. Lester walked into the bedroom, his eyes locking onto her with unmatched warmth. He sat beside her, gently taking the brush from her hand. He began to brush her long hair with smooth, tender strokes. "You look absolutely beautiful tonight, Haley," Lester whispered, his deep voice filled with genuine emotion. Haley turned her head and smiled warmly at him. "Thank you, Lester. You make me feel so safe every day." Lester set the brush down on the nightstand and pulled her gently into his arms. He held her close against his strong chest, listening to the steady beat of her heart. She was his absolute peace, his eternal cure. "I promises to spend the rest of my life making you happy," Lester murmured against her hair. Haley wrapped her arms tightly around his neck, feeling a deep wave of gratitude. "And I promise to love you forever." They shared a sweet, passionate kiss in the quiet room, completely bound together by their deep love. The painful shadows of the past were completely forgotten, erased by the bright light of their beautiful destiny. The brilliant morning sun rose over the majestic horizon, casting warm golden beams across the courtyard. Haley stood gracefully near the patio, watching Emma gently hand a small toy to Leo, her heart filled with pure happiness. Lester walked out onto the lush lawn, his sharp eyes full of deep adoration. He reached out and held her small hand, feeling completely peaceful. "You look absolutely glowing today, Haley," he said with a warm smile. Haley looked up into his deep eyes, feeling an overwhelming wave of complete peace. She tightened her grip on his fingers. "Every day with you is a gift, Lester. I am so grateful for this beautiful life we have." Lester pulled her gently into his strong embrace, holding her close against his chest. His nervous system remained perfectly calm and steady. She was his true sanctuary, his eternal love, and his ultimate cure. Emma and Leo ran over to them, giggling happily as they wrapped their tiny arms around their parents. Haley smiled through happy tears, holding her family tightly under the clear blue sky. They were completely safe. The darkness of the past had completely faded away into nothingness. They walked back toward the grand mansion together, hand in hand. Their beautiful journey of love and absolute harmony would continue forever. The cool evening air brushed against the open terrace as the bright night stars began to light up the dark sky. Haley sat on a plush outdoor lounge, looking out at the calm city line. She felt an incredible warmth inside. Lester walked out from the living room, carrying a warm cashmere blanket. He draped it gently over her bare shoulders and sat down beside her. He slipped his arm around her waist. "It is getting cold, my love," he murmured. Haley smiled brightly, resting her cheek against his firm chest. She could hear the slow, steady beat of his calm heart. "Thank you, Lester. You always look after me so perfectly. I feel completely secure here." Lester pressed a gentle kiss to the top of her head. He tightened his warm grip around her, feeling completely at peace. The physical touch brought him absolute comfort. His rare nervous condition was completely cured. "You are my whole universe, Haley," Lester whispered with deep emotion. He looked down into her clear, loving eyes. "I will spend every single day making sure you and our sweet children have everything you ever want." Haley wrapped her arms tightly around his neck, her eyes shining with tears of pure gratitude. "And I will love you with all my heart for the rest of my days." They shared a long, passionate kiss under the open starlight. Their amazing journey had brought them through the deepest betrayal into the absolute light of real love. They stood together as one, completely happy, deeply protected, and bound together by an eternal, unbreakable bond. The soft morning light gently filled the grand courtyard as a new day arrived. Haley walked slowly down the stone steps, wearing a beautiful linen dress. She smiled as she breathed in the fresh morning air. Lester stood by the elegant fountain, waiting for her with a warm smile on his face. He held a small box wrapped in silver velvet. As she approached, he reached out and took her hand gently. "This is for you, Haley," Lester said, his deep voice filled with genuine emotion. He opened the small velvet box. Inside was a stunning bracelet made of rare sapphires that perfectly matched her glowing eyes. Haley gasped softly, her eyes shining with pure joy. "Lester, it is absolutely magnificent." "Thank you so much." He fastened the beautiful jewelry around her delicate wrist with a tender, steady touch. Emma and Leo ran across the lush green grass, their happy laughter filling the peaceful air. They threw their tiny arms around Haley's waist, hugging her tightly. Haley held them close with deep, permanent gratitude. The painful memories of the past were completely gone, replaced entirely by the bright light of her true destiny. She stood proudly with her family under the clear blue sky, completely safe and deeply loved forever. The calm evening air carried the sweet scent of night-blooming jasmine across the terrace. Haley stood quietly near the white marble railing, looking up at the bright full moon. Her mind felt completely clear and happy. Lester stepped out from the library, holding 2 cups of warm herbal tea. He approached her silently and wrapped one strong arm around her waist, pulling her close. "You look absolutely stunning under the moonlight," he whispered. Haley smiled beautifully and took a cup from his hand. She rested her back comfortably against his firm chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart. His touch was warm, comforting, and gave her an incredible sense of safety. "I was just thinking about how much my life has changed," Haley said softly, turning her head slightly to look at him. "I used to fear the future, but now I welcome every single day with open arms because of you." Lester pressed a tender kiss to her soft cheek, his eyes glowing with endless adoration. "You gave me a real home, Haley. My illness is completely gone, and my heart is finally whole. You are my greatest blessing." Emma and Leo ran out onto the terrace, giggling as they chased a glowing firefly. Haley and Lester watched them with pure joy, their hearts completely bound together by love. Their beautiful story would shine brightly forever.